picked up this 2012 370 a few months ago, and I'm on my way to Lethbridge to basically do a lot of work to this thing. So it's got 3M on, the full front end. It's got a couple little dings that I actually got PDR removed, but this old film, the full hood's done, partial fenders, bumper, mirrors, all of that's got to come off. It's all worn and beat up. And once that's done, we'll do a full paint correction, ceramic coat it, and I'm even going to throw like an 80% tint on the front windshield, just to protect that beautiful orange interior. And it will cut down the heat a little bit, probably not noticeable, but I like the idea of the UV protection. So I'm going to get all of this done basically over the course of 2 days. They're going to be long days, and I know already because I've already did the work and I'm pre-recording this section of the video. I didn't do a lot of the removal of the 3M. It's a terrible job. My advice, if you can, if it's cold, peel it off when it's cold. I find it comes off much easier. And use a 3M orange based adhesive remover to remove any glue. I find that stuff works the best. I didn't have any when I did this. It was a mess. It was very painful, very time consuming. Oh, those rubber wheels that you can put on a drill, those also work very well. So, a couple of tips and tricks, because I've spent a lot of time in the PPF tint world. I have a lot of experience, over 10 years of doing this. And now, thankfully, I just get to work on my own stuff, which is a lot more fun. But yeah, this should be a fun little project. Here's a quick shot of the interior of the car. So this car has about 80,000 clicks on it. Got a decent deal on it. So I do a lot of highway travel back and forth from Calgary to Lethbridge. So I thought this would be good. So anyways, 2 days in Lethbridge. Let's roll. So this is the small clip I have of removing this. This is a really, really painful thing. Do it when it's cold if you can. So once I got all that off, had it all cleaned up, the first thing I did, because I don't want dust and polishing is very dusty, I'm tinting this windshield. And so I'm putting just basically a bounce sheet on there so the tint can move while I shrink it. Here I'm cleaning the inside of the windshield where the tint will actually go. So we actually make the template on the outside and then install the tint on the inside. Again, this is just going to be a super, super light tint. Really to cut the UV rays. It's hardly noticeable when it's on. But yeah, this is just really take your time, clean the window, squeegee it, clean it, clean it, clean it. I'm not worried about all the water trickling down. Yes, I could have put a towel down, but I didn't. I don't care. It's just water. It's not going to hurt nothing. So yeah, once I clean it really well, I'll hop to the outside, lay out the tint, start trimming the excess away. And, tinting, if you guys have ever tinted, it's not one of those things that you can learn overnight. Again, I've got about 10 years experience tinting cars. And so if you want to take a crack at it and you have questions, let me know. So you can see this tint is super light, like it's almost clear. Okay. And again, I want it for the UV protection. So right now I'm just trimming the excess out, just getting rid of the excess materials. And then I'm going to shrink it. And that's basically using a heat gun to shrink the material where there's too much material. It's super easy to overheat tint. Lots of guys don't shrink tint. So if you've done it to do it yourself, you maybe never have done this where you shrunk the tint and you get fingers or you get lots of bubbles. That's a big reason why. And one of the hardest things in tinting to getting a good clean tint is the shrinking process. Okay, lots of people struggle with this when they're first starting to learn. It's one of those things that you just kind of got to do. Tint is easy to crease. If you crease it, you got to start over. So as you can see, I'm shrinking this up. Again, it's all in the prep. Okay, the tighter this fits, and the better the install you're gonna have, the less headaches you're gonna have with tinting. And where we are, you can't have any tint on the front windshield or driver passenger side windows, front driver and passenger side windows. But I haven't had no issues. Again, this isn't even noticeable. Nobody, a cop pulls you over, you wouldn't be pulling you over for the front windshield because it literally isn't even noticeable. But yeah, so I'm gonna shrink this up. Once you have a good shrink and everything's laying down nice, we'll then trim out and actually make the template, cut it exactly how it's gonna fit on the inside. And so a lot of people see this and they think we're installing this on the outside of the glass. That's not correct. It installs on the inside. We just want to make sure that we're making the template. So now I'm basically taking off all that bounce sheet that I've put on there, making sure the glass is really clean. I'm going to take the tint, I'm going to lay it out, and I'm basically going to do just going to fit it, make sure everything fits right. I'm going to squeegee it down like I would if I were actually installing it. And then I'm going to cut it. So here we go. I'm cutting exactly where I want it. It was really hard to see because usually it's dark. The tint's darker, so it's really hard to see where the lines are here. But basically I'm cutting it, hand cutting it exact. Nowadays, a lot of installers have, they can machine cut, and they actually have kits that they can install. Everything's pre-cut. I'm old school. I've always cut freehand. And so I'm making it exactly to the T, the template. And now once boom, there, I cut off all the excess. This is exact. I'm going to basically do a dry run. So I'm going to just test fit this right now. And I will shrink anything that needs to be shrunk prior to installing this. Okay. So boom, it's looking good. I got a couple parts I got to just touch up quickly with the heat gun. And then I should be ready to basically get this baby installed. So yeah, just a couple little touch-ups, and here we go. So this is what you call back rolling. So I'm peeling the liner up, and that liner is basically covering the adhesive backing. And so I get this nice and wet, and I roll it up nice and tight, and then I take it into the inside. I do a quick clean here. I want to make sure there's no lint, no dust, no nothing. So you basically, when you're tinting, the cleaner the window, the cleaner the glass, the cleaner the environment, the better, the higher quality the tint. Okay, no tint is 100% perfect, but here we go. So now I'm going to peel the liner back. I'm going to stick it to the glass, and I'm going to roll it directly on there. See, it's super light. You can't even tell that it's on there. And then I'm going to get it positioned where I want it. I'm going to spray it, and then I'm going to squeegee it out the same way I squeegeed it out on the outside. So I kind of go make a T, do a section, finish the T, do a section, and boom, that's basically it. So a few touch-ups, but yeah, the tint looked really good. Just going to install this back in here. And as you can see, there it is. The windshield's it's got lots of pits and chips in the windshield. You can't really see it on camera, but that's the tint. So I wanted to get that out of the way, and then we're going to do the full paint correction. So we're going to start with just a clay bar. Now this, I think, is just a Meguiar's clay bar, like Canadian Tire, works fine. And this is just a little bit of Dawn, so soapy water. And I'm just using that as the slip solution. And I'm just giving it a really good clay bar. Again, I do the glass as well. I do the whole car. And once you're done the whole car, you can see exactly where you're starting from. You've gotten the main contaminants off the car, and you can see here the condition of the paint, okay? It's not great. There's a ton of swirls. There's a ton of scratches in this paint. It's far from perfect, okay? Far from perfect. And we're going to do a 2-stage a heavy cut compound with a white waffle pad, and then we're going to do a fine polish with a black finishing pad. Okay, and this is just on a very cheap Porter Cable, cheap polisher. I professionally polished for years, even when we used to use the orbitals. So there's my heavy cut compound and my super fine finish compound. If you guys want links to these things, let me know. Or if you want a more in-depth tutorial, because I'm not going in depth of how to polish. If you guys want to know more about the products and the process, let me know. I can shoot a video for you guys, something more in depth So just leave a comment if you guys are interested in that. But I've always used the cheap Porter cables, okay? And you see guys with the rupees polishers, super expensive polishers. Guys, if you're just polishing your car, you can get showroom quality with this cheap $200 Porter cable. I don't even think it's $200. It might be like $150, $180 on Amazon. You don't need a $500 polisher if you're not professionally polishing every single day, okay? And 2 pads, okay? This is the way I've always done it. There are lots of guys that do a 3-stage or 4-stage polish. Start with the compound on a white waffle pad and just do a small section at a time and double check your work, okay? And I'll just do a quick section here, and then I'll show you just even what a good compound will do. And some sections, right, you might have to do a couple times, but take your time, go slow. And as you can see here, when my camera focuses, you'll be able to see all the swirls. So this part is unpolished, right? A lot of swirls. Yeah, you can see it all right there. That's a good shot. All those swirls in there. And then I'll show you the part that we just polished. Man, that's like 98%. Look at that. Look at the difference. Okay, you guys can get these results, no doubt about it. So we go over the whole car with that first stage, polishing in sections. Again, don't rush. I'm not going to show you polishing the whole car. But once we get done this, then we're going to go around the whole car again with the black finishing pad and the super fine polish. And I find that removes just any last imperfections, and it really makes the paint super glossy. It brings a lot of depth to the paint and really just finishes it off really, really nicely. So if you guys, again, if you have any questions, let me know, or I can shoot a video for you. So here we go. So here's the second stage. Stage 2, I'm going to go around the whole car again with this black finishing pad and this ultra fine polish, right? You can work this. It has a really long working life because it is a lot finer. And once I'm done wiping this down, we should be good to go. So if you have, or you guys want the products that I'm using, you can get a lot of this from Carzilla. I'll leave a link for 5% off. So if you're in Canada, you guys can order online. And once I did all the polishing, it's time to 3M. Again, I've been doing 3M paint protection. I'm actually using an Expel product, which is really nice because it has self-healing properties in it. So if you get swirls, light swirls, and it bakes in the sun, you know, it actually bakes out those fine scratches, which is really nice. So you never really have a swirled hood. Again, this is 10 years of experience, guys. So if you haven't done this stuff before, don't worry. If you guys want recommendations, if you're in Calgary for certified installers or guys I trust, let me know. And I'm happy to give you some recommendations. But yeah, I'm going to basically do this full hood, full bumper, lights, mirrors. And 3M is one of those things that it is quite tricky. Again, I probably only do 1 or 2 cars a year. So I'm a little bit rusty, but I'm basically here, I'm using a soap and water solution. You know, if you have a dry spot or a pull or you overstretch the material, it will show imperfections, especially on black. So black is a tricky color. I'm basically tacking a corner, stretching it to where I want it, tacking the other corner. I'm going to pull it across, and then I'm going to actually squeegee everything out. And so again, the nice part about doing the full hood is really for the self-healing properties. Guys do full cars. You see a lot of guys do partial pieces. But yeah, this ends up turning out really nice. And it is a bit of a process, right? We want to make sure we're getting all the water out. We want to make sure that we're not bunching up a whole bunch of materials. What's nice about this particular wrap, and I recommend if you guys do get your vehicles wrapped, or the 3M on the front end especially, get a 1/4 inch wrap around the edges. So that way you have no seams on the hood. Everything's wrapped. It protects the front edge from any rock chips, things like that, which is nice, because nothing's worse than wrapping or getting the 3M done on your car, and then you get a chip right on the edge where, you know, it could have just been wrapped and, you know, taken care of. So I'm going to finish getting this done. And the hood is really the easy part. When you get into like bumpers things like that, that becomes very challenging just because there's so much more curvature. It's pretty hard to mess up a full hood, because it really is just one big piece. But once I get this all done, I'm basically gonna rinse the edges with alcohol, like a little bit of ISO water mixture. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna dry out and basically rinse out any of the soap, which will make the adhesive, when it dries, super tacky. And then I'll come back in and actually wrap those edges. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm basically just soaking those edges with ISO and water, a little bit of ISO water mixture. That's gonna dry out the edges real nice. And then once it's all dry, I'll leave it to the end. Once I'm done the bumper and the roof line, the A-pillars, I'll come back and I'll wrap that, which will be super cool. So again, if you guys have questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, so now I'm basically getting the bumper done. Again, same process. It's finicky, it's time consuming. If you don't have a bunch of experience, I wouldn't recommend spending $300, $400, $500 on the materials to struggle and not be able to install it. So I would highly recommend you guys are more than capable of polishing the cars, but anything kind of tint related or paint protection related, I would just recommend taking it to somebody who does it and will give you a warranty, instead of the headaches of trying to install it and not being satisfied with the job, because it does take a lot of time and experience to learn how to do this stuff correctly. Okay. It's not super easy. And again, this is me doing it and I'm rusty, but I've installed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these kits. So in my earlier years. Okay, so now I'm going to be ceramic coating this. I'm using a product called Fireball. Again, I'll give you guys a link to Carzilla. This is one of those products where most ceramic coatings are similar. This is actually a 10-year warranted ceramic coating. You might have to call in to actually get the product. I don't know if you can actually order this one online through these guys, but they will sell it to you. So if you give them a call, it's basically a 2-stage. Again, I'm not going into a whole bunch of detail, but there's basically a base coat that's super hard and will, again, it's kind of a 10-year protection. And then there's a top coat, which is super hydrophobic. Okay, now how you want to apply this stuff is you want to get a good layer in there. You're going to let it set for maybe a minute with this stuff. Some stuff, it varies product to product. And then you're going to wipe it off. And you're going to want to make sure you get every little piece of that ceramic coating off. Because if it dries, the only way to get rid of the imperfections is to re-ceramic coat that section. If you do it quick enough, if it's cured and you notice it 2 weeks later, you're basically going to have to polish it out and re-ceramic coat the panel. But I found this stuff really easy to use. I've used it a few times now. I really like it. Again, there's a top coat and a base coat to it. And if you guys want more of a how-to type video, let me know. There's a lot of ceramic coating products out there. This is the one that, again, I've tested. I like. I do want to see how it holds up against more of a winter type environment with harsher elements. Do we really get 10 years out of it? I highly doubt it. But if we get 5 even, that would be great. So my mom just got a newer Sentra. So I'm going to be going down in the next couple of weeks to actually complete her car. And her car will be a good test because this thing gets driven in the rain, but it doesn't get driven, in winter in the harsh elements. So it'll be interesting to see how her car holds up. I think at this point I'm doing the second coat. So this makes for really long days. This is a full day project. Once you finish coating, you're going to want to leave it inside for about 24 hours. And then you're not going to want to get it wet for about a week, just to really let it cure. After that, you should be good to go. And what a ceramic coating does is it basically makes the paint a lot harder. It's a thin layer of ceramic, like glass almost. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to make the clear coat or that layer super hard. And when it's super hard, then what's going to happen is when you're drying it, it's a lot more resilient to fine swirls and scratches. as well as the hydrophobic top coat, just beads water, right? It makes the paint super shiny, super glossy. And then there is some maintenance. So basically every 6 months, I'll do what you call a maintenance wash, which is basically using a fallout remover to remove any of the fallout on the paint. And then I'm going to use basically a ceramic wax just to, again, retain those hydrophobic properties and things like that. So you're going to go through a lot of towels doing this. Never reuse a towel that you're using for ceramic coating because those towels will get hard and will scratch your paint. So throw them out when you're done. But yeah, this is a long process. It takes a lot of time, but I mean, you can see the paint already. The reflection in that paint is just unreal. And this is a black car. Black shows everything. The paint looks really, really good. So once this is done, I'll show you a quick before clip of the swirls in the paint, and then an after clip of the swirls in the paint, and then the end, which is the car, which I think turned out really good. I'm going to be putting some 20mm wheel spacers on the front and back. These 370s are bad for wheel spacers, and I'll get back to that in a moment. So you can see here's the before, right? Rough. And this was basically the whole car. Okay, it was pretty rough. And then here's after. You can see the paints, and yeah, it's unreal. Look at this. This is just a super bright light that's supposed to resemble the sun. But yeah, I'll have a video on the wheel spacers, the before and after. Boom, here it is, all done. Paint protection, tint, ceramic coated. I mean, the car is looking great. And again, this is a 10-year-old car. Okay, the car did not come in looking like this. You guys are more than capable to do this. If you guys want a more in-depth polishing tutorial or ceramic coating application tutorial, let me know. I'd be happy to do that for you. And if you guys haven't noticed the floor, you can see that there's Swiss tracks. If you guys want more information on the Swiss tracks, let me know. We are selling Swiss tracks right now. And I'll have a link to our Swiss tracks website. It's a great product. I can't wait to do my garage. This is my dad's garage. I'll be doing my garage next year once my F-150 restoration is done. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video.